Did you know that up to 63% of men over the age of 60 have to wake up at least once each night just to urinate? And most of them believe this is simply a normal part of aging. In reality, their prostate is quietly under pressure from small evening habits that no one has ever warned them about. According to the United States National Institute on Aging, only about 20% of older adults know how to adjust their nighttime routines in a way that allows the prostate to rest at the right time, while the rest are unknowingly making things harder for themselves. If you have ever felt like you still need to go after urinating, have trouble sleeping through the night, experience heaviness in the lower belly, or wake up multiple times without a clear reason, then it could be everyday things like drinking water too late, eating salty foods, or sleeping in the wrong position that are making things worse. The good news is you do not need medication. You just need to change a few very small things. Before we continue, please hit subscribe and turn on the bell. If this message feels right for you, type the number 1. If not yet, feel free to type 0. And now, let us begin. The first habit is drinking too much water after dinner. There is one seemingly harmless thing that many people over 60 still do every night. That is drinking 1 or 2 extra glasses of water after dinner, thinking the body needs to flush out toxins. The kidneys need support, or simply to feel cool and comfortable before bed. But few realize that this habit is one of the deeper reasons why sleep becomes disrupted. Vitality slowly fades, and the prostate is placed under increasing pressure after the age of 60. The prostate tends to enlarge naturally. This is not necessarily a disease, but more like a structural change that comes with time. However, when you consume too much water in the evening, that fluid quickly moves down to the bladder, while the urinary stream, which already passes through a narrower prostate, struggles to flow. This leads to a repeated urge to urinate, incomplete emptying, or heaviness in the lower belly, forcing you to wake up during the night. When this happens night after night, your sleep becomes shallow, hormone levels become disrupted, and you may feel slower and more drained without knowing why. I once met an elderly gentleman named Walter, 82 years old, living in Texas. He told me that he had always kept the habit of drinking 2 large glasses of water before bed, believing it would help cleanse the kidneys. But he also admitted that for over 10 years, he had not slept more than 3 hours straight through the night. When I suggested he drink most of his water in the morning and gradually reduce it after 6 p.m., he agreed to try. Just 1 week later, he called back with surprise and joy in his voice, saying he now woke up only once during the night instead of 4 or 5 times. Like before, he said something I will never forget. I thought I had a prostate problem, but it turns out I was just drinking water at the wrong time. It may sound simple, but the reality is quite profound. The prostate does not need you to stop drinking water. It simply needs you to adjust the timing so your body can rest at the right moment. Try applying this small principle starting today. Drink most of your daily water before 6 p.m. And if you feel thirsty after dinner, take only small sips instead of a full glass. That way, you are not only supporting your prostate, but also helping your hormones remain more balanced during sleep. Tomorrow, you might wake up feeling lighter, with less pressure in your lower belly. And that is a sign your body is beginning to heal in the right direction. Now, you may be wondering, if water alone can have such an effect, what else could be quietly putting pressure on the prostate at night? The answer might be hidden in the very familiar dinner you eat every evening. The second habit is eating salty or packaged foods at night. Many people over the age of 60 tend to eat richer dinners, thinking that evening is family time, a chance to enjoy something flavorful for better sleep, or simply out of long-standing habits from younger years. A salty bowl of soup, a few slices of cured meat, or sometimes a quick meal like instant noodles or frozen convenience foods may seem harmless, but they quietly force the prostate to work harder at the very time it needs to rest. When you eat too much salt or consume a lot of processed foods in the evening, the excess sodium causes your body to retain water throughout the day and then begin eliminating it at night. This not only makes you wake up to urinate more often, but also places continuous pressure on the bladder and the prostate, which naturally weakens with age. One thing many people overlook is that canned or industrially processed foods often contain preservatives and hidden sodium that you cannot see. These substances can alter the microcirculation around the pelvic area, making the prostate more easily irritated and unable to fully relax during sleep. I once spoke with a man named Glenn, and 76 years old, living in Missouri. He said he woke up at least 3 times a night to urinate, even though he did not drink water late and always went to the bathroom before bed. When asked about dinner, he shared that he often ate ready-made meals like canned soup, bacon, and salty snacks because cooking for one was too much trouble. Once he understood that his body was retaining too much water, he switched to steamed vegetables, grilled fish, and lightly seasoned soup. 3 nights later, he called and said, "I didn't expect just changing my dinner to make my lower belly feel so much lighter." That was his body giving him the answer. Dinner is not just about filling the stomach. It is about preparing for deep sleep, where male hormones and internal balance are restored after a long day. If the prostate remains tense because of salt and chemical preservatives in your bloodstream, even if you manage to fall asleep, that sleep will not be truly restful. A study from the Journal of Urology has shown that a high sodium diet is associated with nighttime urination and urinary disorders in men over 65, further proving that what you eat at night can directly impact your body's natural ability to recover. So if you can start with a simple change, like replacing cured meat with steamed fish, swapping instant noodles for a bowl of light vegetable porridge. Small things like this, done consistently, can lead to a peaceful night's sleep and a more energized morning. After adjusting your water intake and dinner choices, some people still ask me why they feel the urge to urinate but do not get out of bed, just lying there, tossing and turning before falling back asleep. The answer lies in the third habit, and I believe you will recognize it the moment you hear it. The third habit is holding in your urine at night. There is one thing many people do not pay attention to. When they feel the urge to urinate at night, they often choose to turn over, close their eyes, and try to fall back asleep instead of getting up and going to the bathroom right away. This might sound reasonable, as no one wants to lose sleep, especially when they have just fallen asleep, not long before, but over time, holding in urine at night creates silent pressure on the bladder and the prostate, leading not only to shallower sleep, but also to a negative impact on male function as we age. When the bladder becomes too full and is not emptied at the right time, the inner muscle layers become overstretched, reducing their ability to contract properly and leaving behind more residual urine. This leftover urine irritates the urinary tract, causes heaviness in the lower abdomen, and makes it harder to fully empty the bladder the next morning. What is more concerning is that this pressure not only causes discomfort, but it also disrupts circulation and the natural hormone activity that occurs during the night, which is when the body is supposed to repair and restore itself. I clearly remember a conversation with Mr. Leonard, 81 years old, from Michigan. He said he avoided getting up in the middle of the night because the bed was warm. The house was cold, and if the urge isn't strong, I just wait until morning. But every morning, and he felt a tightness in his lower abdomen and still had the sense that something didn't fully come out. After I explained the situation, he agreed to try getting up to urinate. As soon as he felt the need, even if it was just once per night, 4 days later, he called back and said, I feel different, lighter. In the morning, I don't feel that heaviness anymore. And urinating is much easier. That is how the body responds when you listen to its signals. Instead of ignoring them, the prostate does not enlarge just because of age. It grows because it is being overworked each night when it should be resting. If you are worried about waking up too often, remember that adjusting your water intake and dinner choices, as we discussed earlier, will already reduce that frequency. But once your body sends the signal, do not ignore it. That delay disrupts the urinary system's natural rhythm, and when it falls out of sync, your hormone balance follows. Getting up to urinate once at night is actually one of the gentlest ways to help restore your body's natural rhythm. You do not have to fully wake up or turn on bright lights. Just keep the environment quiet. Move slowly, take a few deep breaths, and let everything happen gently. After that, it will be easier to fall back asleep than trying to sleep with a full bladder all night long. And if you still feel like your sleep is not restful despite eating light, drinking less, and going to the bathroom on time. The issue may not lie in what you do, but in how you lie down each night. Something few people notice, but that has a long-term impact on the prostate. The fourth habit is sleeping on your stomach. Silent pressure on the prostate. Among many sleeping positions, there is one that seems harmless and is often carried from youth into old age. Sleeping on the stomach. Many people believe that sleeping in this position helps them breathe easier, sleep more deeply, or relieve back tension. But the truth is, this is one of the positions that places the most silent pressure on the lower abdomen and prostate, especially in men over the age of 60. When you sleep on your stomach, the full weight of your upper body presses directly on the abdomen, pelvic region, and bladder. Although you may not feel much while sleeping, this light, but constant pressure for several hours leads to reduced blood circulation, tension in the soft tissue around the prostate, and difficulty draining fluids, which can eventually cause mild chronic inflammation. The prostate is a small gland located right between the bladder and the pelvic floor, and it is extremely sensitive to even minor changes in pressure and circulation. When blood flow becomes restricted, Nighttime hormone transport is also disrupted, leaving you feeling tired, drained, and waking up as if you never slept. I once met a man named Harold, 74 years old, from Nevada. He said that every morning he felt tightness in his lower abdomen and thought it was a digestive issue. But when I asked further, he shared that he always slept on his stomach and had the habit of bending one leg up at night. After switching to sleeping on his left side with a small pillow between his legs, he came back and told me, I didn't realize I had been putting pressure down there for so many years until I finally let it go. That sentence stayed with me. Sleeping on the left side is a position many health experts recommend because it reduces pressure on the liver, the heart, and especially the urinary system, giving the prostate room to breathe. In addition, placing a small pillow under the knees or elevating the legs with a V-shaped cushion helps reduce the downward weight from the abdomen onto the pelvic area, especially for those who often wake up to urinate or feel heaviness in the lower belly in the morning. A 6 to 8 hour sleep each night, if spent in the wrong position, becomes a prolonged period of silent compression on the prostate that no one notices. Gradually, you may find it harder to urinate, feel your energy dropping, and your sleep no longer as restorative as before. The important thing is that you do not need to force yourself into rigid positions. Just try gentler, more comfortable postures that allow the body to naturally adjust. If tonight you still feel like sleeping on your stomach out of habit, try turning onto your left side, placing a soft pillow between your knees and closing your eyes. Your body will know how to adapt if you give it a chance. And after all these adjustments, you might think you have done everything right, but there is still one small habit left. It may sound simple, but if you skip the final trip to the bathroom before bed, your prostate will be left struggling in silence all night long. The fifth habit is skipping the last trip to the bathroom before bed. One of the smallest actions with the most profound effect on the prostate is whether or not you urinate before going to sleep at night. Many people think that if they do not feel the urge, there is no need to go, or they simply feel too cozy under the covers to get up again. But skipping this final trip to the bathroom is exactly what causes the prostate to silently endure pressure throughout the night without you even realizing it. When you go to bed with a bladder that still holds urine, a light but steady pressure is placed on the bladder walls and pelvic floor. This not only leads to lighter, more disrupted sleep, but also causes silent irritation of the prostate. Over time, this condition can lead to mild inflammation, an increased urge to urinate at night, the feeling of incomplete emptying, and morning fatigue. I once spoke with a man named Peter, 69 years old, living in Ohio. He said he had the habit of brushing his teeth, reading a book, and then going straight to bed, usually skipping the bathroom because I didn't feel the urge. But recently, he found himself waking up 2 to 3 times each night. And every morning, he felt tightness and discomfort in his lower abdomen. When I suggested that he try including a bathroom visit as part of his bedtime routine, even if the urge was mild, he seemed surprised but gave it a try. A week later, he called back and said, I didn't expect that just adding this one step would help me sleep so much deeper. I wake up feeling lighter, and urinating is much easier. This is proof that the body always knows how to heal if you support it at the right time. Going to the bathroom before bed is not about completely emptying the bladder. It is about reducing the baseline pressure on the urinary system and giving the prostate a chance to fully rest overnight. When you skip this step, the accumulating urine creates a favorable environment for bacteria, increasing the risk of irritation, burning sensations, or long-term urinary problems. Some people even experience difficulty urinating in the morning because the urine stream is partially blocked due to overnight swelling of the prostate. To improve this, you only need to add one simple habit that closes the day, like brushing your teeth, washing your face, and then going to the bathroom, even just a little. This action tells your body that the urinary system has finished its work for the day, making it easier to fall into a deep, uninterrupted sleep. If you repeat this step consistently each night, you are sending a clear message to your prostate that you understand it, respect it, and are giving it the chance to relax properly. And now, after going through all 5 nighttime habits that silently wear out your prostate, perhaps the most important thing is not to change everything overnight, but to choose just one small thing and start tonight. After walking through these 5 familiar yet risky habits together, you may now see that the prostate does not weaken simply because of age. In most cases, it is the result of small pressures accumulating each night from the way you live, eat, and rest. From drinking too much water after dinner, eating salty or packaged foods, to holding in urine during the night, sleeping on your stomach, or simply forgetting to use the bathroom before bed. Each of these quietly forces the prostate to keep working when it should be at rest. The good news is, you do not need strong medication or a complicated routine. Just a few small changes, repeated consistently, can help your body naturally readjust in a positive direction. If you begin with just one change tonight, try going to the bathroom before getting into bed, reducing salt in your evening meal, or turning onto your side instead of lying on your stomach. These are not just smart choices for better sleep. They are also gentle ways to maintain vitality, support hormone balance, and promote natural urinary function in later life. Your body is still listening. All it takes is for you to start paying attention. If you found today's message helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tips on food, herbal remedies, sleep posture, and prostate care, all safe and medication-free. And if you have ever followed any of these 5 habits without realizing their impact, feel free to share in the comments. Type the number 1. If you are ready to change just one small thing tonight, or type 0 if you need a little more time to reflect. Every response from you gives us the motivation to keep creating better, clearer, and more supportive content made just for you.